All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to Get Heavy Podcast. We're doing the couple series tonight. Tonight we got some local Ventura podcasters, Amy Wright and Kevin Schreutelkamp. Sorry, bro.
Schreutelkamp? Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I think Schreutelkamp was right.
I'm sorry, brother.
I think
It's good.
Yeah, but these are hosts of the True Crime Dumpster podcast, a true crime podcast, which is honestly produced very, very well compared to what we do here. So, welcome, guys. So, Amy, I've known you're a local Ventura lady who moved up.
I was trying to think. I think I've known you since maybe like sophomore year of high school.
Probably, yeah. We've known each other a long time.
Yeah, from Laser Star shows.
Right. Yeah, back in the day. And then Kevin is a full-time touring musician. Bands like Ritual, Necromancing, Incantation, Blasphemy, Weregoat. You have a surprising resume.
There's a whole other roster of bands, but
we're
we
not
only have an hour. We're only gonna do this for an hour. So.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Bands over the next hour.
I like to play music.
How long?
Dirty music.
How long have you been an actual touring musician? Like where that was what you did before COVID, obviously.
Probably about 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah, but I've been playing since I've been doing death metal and shit since 95.
95. What was the first band that got you into full-time touring? You were like, I don't have to have a fucking job. I will figure this out. Not saying you know what I mean. You make a ton of money doing a touring musician, where it's okay, I can figure this out. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say in the last year, you've been able to do it a lot.
Last 5 years, I've been doing it a lot. But before that, when I was younger, I was kind of filling in for this band, Splatterhouse. Which was a death metal, gory kind of death metal band. And we did this full 6-week US tour. And it was all booked through MySpace. The dude that booked it,
nice.
the guitar player that booked it just wanted to hook up with all these different chicks around the country. And that was the fucking tour route.
Is he getting Me Too'd right now?
Is he getting Me Too'd all over the fucking world right
He has gone in hiding several times for various things. I don't think it's Me Too related.
But he's had to disappear.
But yeah,
you know, it's not anything close to what our president or any of the congressmen that do.
Oh, not at all. Yeah, no, he's not drinking baby blood and shit.
With Epstein, is he?
Yeah, no, he's not that big time.
Or no.
No, he's just doing blow off a stripper's tits or something.
Has anyone seen episode 2 of the Epstein documentary?
I can't even get.
I don't know one person that has gotten through episode 1.
Have you got through it?
Well, I mean, actually, this might be it.
Yeah.
I'm a glutton for punishment. Yeah.
I can't. I don't.
It's true crime.
I got to the first episode, and there was 5 girls that were like, "Yeah, I was 12," and he fucking, I was like, "I'm down. I'm out, dude. I got a 12-year-old."
Yeah.
I know.
Well, you have a little girl, so that's hard. Yeah.
I got 5 sisters. I got a 12-year-old daughter. I can't even watch porno with blonde chicks in it, dude. It's fucking out of,
Welcome to the Get Heavy Podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's out, dude. I'm done. It's ruined all things for me. All those sisters and the family But yeah, so you've gotten through some of the Epstein doc?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to the, I think it's Wondery put it out. It's called The Mysterious Mr. Epstein, and that was really good. So one of the reasons I wanted to watch it is that I know the whole story, the whole dirty story, but it was nice to put names to faces and all that stuff, or faces to names.
It should be documented, and that shit should be out there, I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than when in the Facebook call out world, when someone's like, "Oh my God, look at this shithead," and they block out their face. And I'm like, the fuck is the point of this?
Yeah, and that's why a lot of podcasters actually kind of get reamed for the way that they name episodes. Because a lot of times they'll name the episodes by the killer. And they're like, huh?
You're giving celebration to the killer.
Yeah, and a lot of podcasters that come back with, and a lot of people are like, well, you should name them after the victims. And then a lot of podcasters that come back and been like, nah, fuck that. Because
Like
when you Google this person's name, I want you to know the atrocious shit that they've done. You know, same thing with like Epstein. You know?
like I don't see how the point of naming someone after the victims is a good thing.
Yeah, I think that the victim doesn't want to be defined by that. Yeah,
exactly. The victim was forced into that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
The victim wasn't, you know what I mean? Like the killer or whoever the fuck did fucked up shit did that shit.
Right.
And they should be called out. You know what I mean? The victim should have
also, you gotta remember, you're trying to get views here. You know what I mean? If you call it some random lady that, you know what I mean? It's like, well,
you know.
I mean, it's not like you're capital. I mean, are you guys making money from your podcast?
Not yet. No. And like, it's not like
any day now.
Right. Yeah. We're waiting for it. I'm waiting for Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Like just going back to that real quick, like try to make money off of it, whatever. That would be cool if it ever happened, but not like super like dying to do that. Because I luckily don't have to. But like when I was trying to name an episode, like I wanted to name it after the survivors because I read their memoirs and it was Ariel Castro. You know that guy?
Oh yeah.
So you know who Ariel Castro is, right?
Yeah.
But do you remember the 3 women's names?
Not at all, but I do remember Charles Ramsey. That fucking motherfucker, dude. That's the dude. Our slogan for all tours.
It's the guy who like let Amanda Berry out of the house.
Yeah, the guy that helped him get out of the house. I remember Charles Ramsey.
Yeah, that guy's hilarious.
He's a hero, dude.
Yeah,
and something's wrong with a pretty little white girl to a black man.
Yeah, you know something's wrong.
You know that guy saved someone at like a McDonald's, he saved someone at a McDonald's or something, or no, he saved another person from a car accident.
Dead giveaway.
Yeah, but he saved someone from a car accident like a month later and was back on the news. He's like, "Hey man, I was just here. I saw that chick. She need fucking help." Like, dude, I love you, man. You know, but that
he's like a fucking cape, man. He's like a superhero.
Dude,
he's a hero.
That guy ruled our life for at least 2 tours.
Right. He would actually come out to on stage to that song.
2 tours. That would be the song that the fucking rap would walk out to, and then we'd be partying in the van behind some venue, and like we'd get random people in the van. I'd be like, "Bro, you want to hear a fucking song,
bro?
You want to hear a fucking song?"
Yeah.
And that would be us.
Yeah. But you know, likewise. I don't want to devalue the victims that fucking survived.
Yeah, the victims don't want to be. The victims don't want to be fucking put out there. Like,
well, so that's the thing I kind of struggled with is that all 3 survivors of that wrote memoirs, and they do want to like be known for that. So that's why I named the episodes after them, which is Gina De Jesus, Amanda Berry, which is the one a lot of people remember, and Michelle Knight, who has since changed her name to like Lily Rose something.
Okay.
But like. I wanted to give them credit because I got like 100% of our material from their memoirs, you know? But like, as a result, like everybody looks for Ariel Castro when they're looking for like because a lot of times they'll find podcasts by subject, you know, or by topic. Mm-hmm. And so like ours doesn't get found because I named it after the survivors and not the perpetrator, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And it's also a case, I'd imagine it's a case by case basis where it's like, in that situation, they wrote memoirs. So then you're like, okay, I can name it after
them. They want their story heard.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, like, whether we like it or not, it's all known by the fucking killer or the fucking psycho.
Yeah.
It's hard to be, you know, especially like with what you guys do. I wanted to ask, like, Amy, I know you pretty well. I know you're kind of a factoid and obviously very organized. You've always been very organized. You know,
well, I'm a teacher, so I kind of have to.
I know. My wife's a teacher. I get it.
Yeah.
You know, she's organized like a son of a bitch. But like, what got you into doing this? You know what I mean? Like the true crime stuff.
The podcast?
Yeah.
Or the true crime stuff?
What got you into it?
That's a good question. I think that I've always, I do remember in like 4th grade, the O.J. Simpson trial.
Mm-hmm.
And like living in proximity to LA, like car chases in general like my parents would just turn that shit up, and then like, you know, we just like hover around the TV. And so it's just like coming from Southern California, like that's what you do. Like I remember the OJ low speedish chase.
Spotlights going through the windows.
I want to get one of those Broncos.
Okay, so I had
OJ thing was crazy, man.
Yeah, and I mean, we live 45 minutes away from it, you know?
Yeah. My parents threw a surprise birthday party for me on the day OJ had the slow chase.
Surprise! We're gonna watch the news.
It was at a pizza parlor.
Right.
At a pizza parlor. So like we went to the pizza parlor to like, you know, have dinner, and then all my friends were there. But in the background, I still remember, like I was 12. I think I was turning 12 or something like that, and it was like OJ in the background. So whenever I see the white Bronco, I think of my 12th surprise birthday party.
Oh, surprise, kid. Hold on, wait a minute. OJ's
Yeah.
Hold your horses. Yeah.
The juice is loose.
But I just remember, like, it wasn't even just that. I remember the Rodney King riots. I think that happened when I was like in first grade. And like, again, like my parents just turned the volume all the way up, and we watched it. You know, we watched LA burn down, you know, over a verdict. And then OJ Simpson, it wasn't even just that. Like kids at school were placing bets on, you know, if he was going to be found guilty or not. And I had my first major celebrity crush, you know.
Oh, right.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Hold on.
Nicole Kidman.
No.
Kidman.
Kato Kalin. I was obsessed.
Nice.
I knew you had a thing for flowing locks.
Kato Kalin was
She does.
To this day, he's a fucking hilarious dude. I can cuss, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's another podcast called huh?
I just said I didn't jerk off the blonde people.
Oh, okay.
But you didn't cut.
You're not cutting that. Okay. But there's a podcast called Confronting OJ, and it's Ron Goldman, sorry, name escaped me for a second. It's easy to forget victims' names. Ron Goldman's sister, it's her podcast, and she goes after AJ, and she goes after everybody in the trial just to kind of figure out what the fuck happened, you know? And like she ends up talking to like jurors and stuff, and she ends up talking to like OJ's lawyer, who is such an asshole to her. He calls her like a fucking bitch and all this stuff. Like they get into it. And then she gets into like a Twitter war with like OJ because he refuses to talk to her and stuff. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So she interviews Kato Kalin, and he is like, "Oh, hey girl, how are you doing?" You know, and she's all, "Well, where do you want to meet up to get interviewed?" And he's all like, "Well, there's this country club I like going to. You just bring your swimsuit, we'll go swimming, and we'll interview in the swimming pool." And she's like, "No."
Wow.
Like the Chris Holmes interview.
He like has not changed at all. He's still like a creepy pool guy. And that's why he 100% is innocent. He does not know anything that is ever going on to this day. He has no idea. He's just like living he just lives at like a country club or something, you know?
Get in the pool.
For those of you who don't know, Scheimer totally broke his leg. Or his foot the other day.
So
that's actually
hobble outside.
That's kind of why we're over here, because this guy can't, you know, he can't do shit by himself apparently. So. But I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, it's wild. So obviously seeing all that stuff back when you were a kid and stuff that spawned your. I find that women are generally interested in like just what did South Park refer to it as? Informational murder porn. And it's like
that's totally what it is.
They killed it with that one because my Rosie. Here's what Rosie does. My wife. I'll be falling asleep. I'm like this, falling asleep, and she goes, "Today I read a story about a mom and dad that burned their kids with cigarettes until he fucking died." I'm like, "Oh, cool, great." I'm about to fall asleep. That's like the last thing I needed to think of before I
sweet dreams.
Totally. So she does that shit to me all the time, you know, and it's like. It's just, but so like, obviously, Kevin, like, where did you grow up and how are you interested in this stuff? Like, is it real? I mean, she's not making you do it, right? I mean,
no. Well, so I grew up, I was actually born in Yorba Linda.
Oh, really?
And lived in Orange County.
The OC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
From the
You
OC.
got out. Good job. Fucking fuck, you're welcome. Man, good job.
Moved around a bit, but ended up in Portland in 1990.
Oh, so you're one of the early adopters.
Yeah.
Before
So
Portland
He was in
weird.
Portland before Portland was cool.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
yeah, it's still sketchy. It was great back then.
That's great, man. I bet. So how? I mean, obviously with the Portland thing, I mean, it's you hear about it. It's just what
Oh, it's
packed with
it's
hipsters and the whole deal.
so different than what it used to be. Like all of the cool venues are gone. Like there was one, the Schreutelkamp, which is basically like the CBGBs of the West Coast.
Right. Yeah.
Like Nirvana played there and shit. It was like a fucking little hole in the wall,
Yeah.
But that's where all the cool shows were. Like right downtown.
That didn't
Everyone
close
could get to
that
it.
long ago, right? I mean,
What's that?
That's like how long ago did that close down? It wasn't that long ago.
That would be
Satyricon?
yeah, 10 years now.
No,
maybe like five,
eight
5, 6.
8 years ago or something.
I'm such
Yeah.
a bad judge of time.
Me too. Yeah.
Dude, it's
Like-
especially with touring. It's like that was like 3 months ago. It's like that was 4 years ago.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Okay, shit.
Yeah. Shit,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. So I mean,
Everybody at my work is like, you look so young. When they figure out I'm like 43 or whatever I am, they're like, you look so young. And I'm just like, I've been living in a van for 15 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and now that I'm like, kind of like my schedule at work is like really fucking weird. This whole COVID thing has really made everything like a fucking acid trip gone really bad.
Right.
Dude, yeah.
And
It's like when the acid keeps going and you're like, please.
you're trying to tap out. You're
Like,
like,
You're like,
dying.
yo, like I just want to go to bed.
yeah, it's been 2 weeks. You're like, fuck. So like now time is even more fucked because I have like split days off and it's like every day is the fucking same.
I have my first real job in 12 years. Like
Welcome back.
it's fucking gnarly because like I'm a civilian.
Soul crusher.
You know what I mean? It's like and the thing is like I've actually been okay with it, and I think I'm okay with it because everything is shut down. I think if I was like, oh, I'm gonna just like quit the industry and let the industry keep going, I'd be fucking miserable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the fact that it's like
Nobody's having any fun.
Nobody's having any fun. It's
There's
not
no
like
FOMO.
you know what I mean. There's no FOMO.
Yeah.
I was trying to be.
Yeah, the first show is gonna fucking go off the hook.
Yeah.
You're gonna see.
There'll probably be 10 people there because
Yeah, because no one's gonna
Social
know.
distancing.
Dude, the content industry. I mean, think about it. The music industry has never had a disruption like this. Like it's
any industry hasn't.
I mean, exactly. But the
Except
thing
for,
is,
like,
where
mask
the
makers.
music industry has gone, where it's like gone from independent, it's gone more corporate, obviously. But the fact that it's a complete shutdown, it's going to be for a couple years. I think when you do it's going to be a full rebuild. Like there's not going to be like, oh, let's go back to this place.
All of them are going to be closed. Amy was just telling me some story where like it was like, what was the percentage?
90%.
90% of venues are going to be done.
Oh yeah, that article was a bummer.
90%
90
of independent venues.
independent venues. But the thing is, Live Nation and AEG only own so many venues. They own a lot compared to an independent promoter, an independent fucking booker.
What about the DIY little punk spots and shit? They're all going to be
everything feeds itself. You know what I mean? Like you need the DIY punk shit to make the bar show what it is. The bar show makes the club show. The club show makes the arena show because there's so many different options.
Right.
But now no one has any fucking money. And no one could even like be in a room together.
And who in their right mind is going to like book a show where a band's like, hey, I need to make X amount of dollars. Hey, the venue costs X amount of dollars. The people need to come and show up and work it. Who knows what insurance is going to be like at that point?
Dude.
Like,
yeah. So do you guys think that there's going to be a massive grab like by Live Nation for smaller venues like that, or do you think it's really.
I think it's game. I think it's fucking game over, dude.
I think
You
it's game over. I think
really?
it's game over for
Wow.
everybody. I think
You
it's
guys
game
are
over.
yeah. That they're gonna have to just rebuild from nothing in like 2022.
2022.
Could you see
Because,
it as better or worse?
It's who knows.
Nothing's getting better.
You don't think so?
No.
You know.
Yeah.
I remember shows like in the early 90s in the fucking in Portland, like 92, 93. Like I saw like DRI at this place called La Luna, which was this fucking badass venue. It was probably like a 500 capacity, you know, pretty like mid-sized place. And like it was back in the day when there'd be like lines for shows, like it would like wrap around the block, and like people were crowd surfing in line just to get into the fucking place. It was a wild show.
Yeah.
And like venues like that are just gone. Like there's not that size of a venue anymore. And like it used to be all ages, where like there was a bar,
Right.
but like everyone can go in, and like the kids are the ones that cause the fucking.
It's
They're the ones that have the energy to fucking fuck shit up. It makes the show fun, you know.
I believe that we've hit a point where we're gonna talk about the golden age of shows.
We're already there. All the good bands are like old and dying.
The thing is, right now though, everyone's under this romantic idea that shows are just gonna come back and everything's gonna be great. As far as like the general public and the regular people and like people that don't know what goes into it. But if you really know what goes into it, what takes is all, it's done.
The corporate shit is gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Because they'll just have a hologram with some fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
stupid fuck, you know, like
Tupac.
Yeah, but
exactly,
I mean,
yeah, like
it's gonna be a
hologram Elvis, yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It's gonna be.
Yeah, I wonder. It's like, I would love for it, because with all what's happening in Ventura's always had a terrible problem getting all ages shows and all ages venue. Really, a real venue that could do shows without it being a fucking problem. But in the last,
it's a legal nightmare.
Yeah, but in the last year, obviously, with bad politics breeds great fucking punk rock. You know what I mean? Like, so what we had been seeing is like, we'll come to a show and there's 200 plus fucking kids that are under 18, an all ages show hanging in the park. It's starting to feel like it did back in the Bush Jr. era and previous.
Yeah.
Really fucking rad, because
everything's cyclical, you know. For
a long time, it was like we were very dedicated to playing all ages shows and keeping the kids involved, and then eventually the shit gets weeded out, and then now you're doing shows in bars because I'm fucking 30 years old and I don't really need, that's the only shows that are happening. So for maybe 5, 6, 7 years,
we haven't had an all age.
And then the Hong Kong Inn in the last few years has been doing all ages shows, and like the last 5, 6 shows, you show up and there's 200 fucking kids in the parking lot.
But also,
and it's like, fuck yeah, man.
I mean, that gives like some sort of hope for the future.
Yeah, but with all the COVID, it's like,
it does. But also, the Hong Kong Inn was also not something that was financially feasible. It was only on a local level,
right?
Which is fine. You know what I mean? But it wasn't something where you could take a touring act into and be like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they're really good local shows.
Really good local.
Maybe
shows.
A cool out of town hip, whatever band.
Yeah,
right now,
Hopper went on tour with Red Fang, and I think they played there. Red Fang?
Really?
No, not Red Fang. Long Knife. It's like word.
Long Knife. I remember Long Knife because I did a tour of Subhumans and they played shows.
Yeah, he was like, we're playing at some Chinese restaurant in Ventura. I was like,
I saw fucking Joe Rogan, Chris D'Elia, and Brian Callen at the Hong Kong Inn, and then 6 months later, I saw like a fucking not Subhumans. Some really like decent fucking punk band. You're like, what the fuck is happening? And it's literally like a Hawaiian, like like food hulao place. You know what I mean? It's a trip.
Yeah.
But it's a bummer to see like all that momentum starting to.
It's all done.
It's all done.
Yeah. It's all done, and it's gonna be a full rebuild.
Yeah, it might be good though. I think.
We're
gonna be too old to enjoy it when it comes back.
I think that's the thing, though. Is everything needs to be destroyed to be rebuilt in a better way. It didn't need to be destroyed like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
We could, you know what I mean? Like, I'm down with burning down like cop buildings and shit like that, but we don't gotta COVID everyone out of this motherfucker.
So
I think why aren't they fucking going to the Capitol buildings and burning that shit down? Why are they burning like small businesses and shit? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
This place
Anger.
rage. It's like they're angry and that's where they are.
Yeah.
Like it's, I think if they would,
And it's warranted. Yeah.
Hey, we just had a podcast with our buddy who owns the tattoo shop, and he was talking about like defending his business and all that shit. And I'm like, I agree with him defending his business, but I also understand that there's shrapnel.
Right.
There's shrapnel.
And he
change.
understood that.
Yeah, and he understood that too.
that.
You know what I mean? There's shrapnel and it sucks. It's not a fucking good thing, but there's always shrapnel when change happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's you have to fucking rip some shit apart. My biggest fear is I love all this shit happening, all the protests. I'm absolutely for it. I mean, this country is built on this shit. You know what I mean? Like, we threw a tantrum and threw all the fucking tea in the bay. You know what I mean? Back in a billion years ago or whatever. But like, I love it. I
You, not me.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Momentum.
There was a party involved. Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to see that momentum keep going. But I want to see it like. It's like, man, my biggest fear is to watch the fucking government give us just enough for us to stop bitching, and then we go straight back to normal. You know what I mean? I want to see some real change.
30 million unemployed people.
I know, yeah. I hope it helps.
If this had happened at any other time, 6 months ago, even 6 months in the future, it wouldn't have been as big deal. But everyone's been pent up in their houses, and they're angry at the government because they're like, I got that one stimulus check. When's the other one come in? Or my unemployed, I've been on fucking hold on unemployment for, 6 hours. And so it's just like, I've been stuck in my house. I hate the government. I have no money. I don't have a lot of shit to do. So let's go fuck shit up. Like it was the perfect shitstorm,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm glad it's happening. And that, I mean, there are parts of me who knows that there are there's problematic shit to everything, but I'm happy it's happening.
You can poke holes in everything.
Yeah. It's easy to be the Monday morning quarterback.
It's easy to be like, oh, well, I would have done it like this and this and that.
Yeah.
It's like,
and when I say I'm glad it's happening, I mean the protests.
Right.
It would be cool if police would stop killing innocent people.
I wish it was just directed towards the people that are actually in charge of causing these fucking problems that everyone's having. It's the same people that's causing bullshit for everyone.
Well, it's the same exact thing. It's like
fucking bankers and all those
protests. I understand the fucking rioting. I understand that. I understand burning cop cars. The looting is just opportunistic people that want to take shit. You know what I mean? And that's a separate deal. It devalues the whole fucking situation. But I understand the anger and I understand the rage. You know what I mean? But what the looting part is like, you gotta just, it's part of the fucking deal. But what it is this is, I mean, when you see people were fucking tired of watching this shit, dude. I mean, 8 minutes, 46 seconds. I watched that Dave Chappelle fucking, did you guys see that release?
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my God, dude. I mean, it's not a comedy. It's not comedy.
It's more like Dave talking.
Dude, this guy, I mean, he's gonna, the shit that he says is so true and on point.
I always love hearing what he has to say. So
yeah, and his whole one of his major points is like, the streets are talking, dude. You know what I mean? And he's absolutely right. He's like, people are calling for me to say shit. People are calling me to take a stance. He's all, this ain't my fucking battle, dude. He's all, I've known this is happening.
No one wants to listen to a fucking.
No one wants to hear a celebrity talk.
No one wants to hear celebrities right now.
Yeah, and I love that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
No one.
Did you see that thing on Twitter? Like, I take responsibility. Blah blah blah. Like,
right.
No.
It's just. Ugh.
Well, it's like, I mean, like I check all websites and like I check like TMZ and stuff like that. And there's been people going like, why is TMZ just not reporting about celebrities right now? And I'm like, who the fuck
no one
wants to see that?
Yeah.
Like anyone that is fucking like I bet you influencers are having a really hard time right now.
I saw someone was busting some influencer balls about like posing with like boarding up windows and fucking shit, like helping out.
There's a Instagram page called Influencers in the Wild. And it's like people taking pictures of people, influencers. It's awesome, dude. But the guy that runs the site or the page has only been posting like hipsters taking pictures at protests, and it's really good. You're like,
sounds awesome.
Piece of shit, some dude
the whole influencer thing is very disturbing.
Well, it's really disturbing is that they took a poll of like, what do you want to be when you grow up for kids, and being a YouTube influencer or like being an Instagram star or something like that. That is the highest. It's like that's higher than being a doctor.
I have an 8-year-old that just wants to do YouTube videos.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Very cute though.
It's cute. No,
I'd watch it.
I totally facilitate it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm
But
like,
it's one thing to play around on Instagram and have some followers and have YouTube where, but it's another, you're like, no, that's my lifelong goal. That's my career choice.
It can be though.
Yeah.
Me and Rosie had a lot of debate about this because Scout is, my daughter is insanely involved in TikTok and cosplay. And she's got like,
as are most high school girls, just so you know.
Scout's 12, you know what I mean? But Scout has an insane talent for makeup. I mean, like the stuff that she does, like she can do these scars and teeth and all kinds of shit, and my wife has a really hard time dealing with it because, she sees it as like, well, you're putting yourself out on the other. I'm like, there's people that do this that make millions of dollars a year. You know what I mean? Like at a certain point you have to figure out how to embrace the line, where it's from obsession and just like destroying your self-esteem. And then to an actual fucking like, almost like we talked the other day and she's like, you know what? If I just view it as like performance art, it fucking helps my brain. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's kids that are gaming that are making 10 million a year. You know what I mean? So
it's kind of like the new boy band or the new whatever. Do you take it? You know what I mean?
You have to just coddle it because think about all the shit we wanted to be when we were 12.
Yeah.
Right.
There's definitely even a part of me that like would love to be able to make the podcast like I love teaching, but if I could do the podcast full time and just research throughout the week. And there are like plenty of podcasters, like there's this one it's called Morbid, and they're fine. Like they kind of remind me of me in a little bit in a sense that one of the hosts, she's a autopsy technician. And so she still has a job where she supports her family and stuff, but she's able to make enough off of the podcast now that she can hire a researcher, and she's like cut her hours back way, way hardcore in her job. And she gets to be at home with her family more. She's got 3 kids. And then her niece, who's like 21, or she's like 23 now probably. But she's a hairstylist. So the COVID-19 totally took her out of everything. And so she's like 100% part of the podcast now. And she doesn't even have to go back to her old job. So it's like, yeah, like, kind of same thing with like YouTube and being an influencer and all that stuff. It's like, that's the dream, know, but like have another skill too, huh?
It's just like being a touring musician. If you're if you're one of the lucky 0.001% of people that ever gets to fucking do something like you've done and I've done and Scheimer's done, like, and not only that, like to do it and make a living is it's so above and beyond, you know what I mean? Like there was a point where the Wrath was going to have to shit or get off the pot and be on tour 9 months out of the year. You know what I mean? And it got to the point where I was like, I got 2 kids. I barely make a fucking dollar when I'm gone for 3 months. You know what I mean? And I can't fucking do it. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to fail my kids, but to not only that, to be one of those people that's actually even taken the chance to do something they want to do. How many people do you meet that have never ever fucking gambled on themselves? It's pretty crazy.
It's definitely something in the COVID that I've lived in a fantasy world for the last like 12 or 13 years.
Yeah.
Right? No shit.
Now that I have like a real job, I've been like, this is what everyone was telling me about. Mm-hmm. When they'd be like, you're so fucking lucky, and I'm like, let me tell you about luck. Let me tell you about the shit I deal with. Cause I'm a tour manager. Like I'm a tour manager for fucking bands that are fucking big, and they're a pain in my ass.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where like, but I've always been the guy where like I would never complain about making sure there's only green M&Ms in the thing, because I'd be like, guess what? That's the worst part of my day. I got to make sure there's only fucking green M&Ms. That ain't that fucking bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah, it's just what I mean. Like I said, with the kids and the younger generation, it's so hard to navigate because The real problem is to be able to get them to separate from their phones and be present. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother.
Well, now that's all that education is you can just be on your phone all the time. You got what you wanted.
Yeah, but it's
I know.
that's the whole thing. You know, so like I said, the whole back to the thing, like me and my wife had a million conversations. I mean, my daughter has all the talent in the fucking world to do something if that's what she wants to do, but you know what I mean? It's like you can do that, but you have to be present for real life, and you have to be able to put your phone down and walk away from it. You know what I mean? And be part of our family. And, you know, being 12, it's like,
yeah,
your
this
friends
dimension.
are the most important thing in your life. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that. I remember that part, but you know, you can do that. You just have to be able to manage it, you know, and that's our biggest problem, honestly, right now, is teaching her how to do that. And also be able to walk away from it for a few hours, you know. It's tough. It's really, really fucking tough. It's something I've never dealt with in my life. I was told to get the fuck out of the house at 8 a.m, and I was told to not come back.
Don't come back until the streetlights come on. Yeah.
My whole life, and I was on a BMX or a dirt bike or a fucking blowing something up or looking at weird pornos in the bushes. I don't know, you know, like
you weren't filming it, making money off of it though.
No, I mean,
yeah. Because you needed.
But you could have been.
Yeah,
I could have been. Yeah.
Missed out.
Yeah, I fucked it up. You know, it is what it is.
So you guys do this podcast. What is something that brought you guys? What made you guys want to do this podcast? Is there like a thing? Was it a gradual?
So
tell us the story.
It was my baby. He gets to do all the other stuff. I just teach, and I got really there's a graduating class that graduated 2 years ago from a high school I worked at in Portland, Oregon. And two of my graduating girls, I had a feminist club there, and a lot of times we would end up talking about crime and stuff, and they just really got into like our conversations. They became like my honorary daughters, and they became my TAs, and they just wanted to help me with everything, and they're just like, talk to us about all these like crazy stories. And, you know, for the most part, you know, I can kind of like figure out when kids, I'm like, oh, I'm talking and they're not really listening. I feel like I'm talking about the golden age of whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. But they were like genuinely like, no, tell us more things. And I'm like, okay, there's this girl named JonBenet Ramsey, and they're like, what, you know. And then like they were just like losing their minds. And I told them, I think I teach a lot of like true crimey stuff in school too. And we were talking about toxic masculinity. We were reading the book, The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, by Junot Diaz. And there's a lot of toxic masculinity that comes up in it. And so what I did was I took clips of Elliot Rodgers from Isla Vista. Do you remember who that is? He is this he's the biggest piece of shit in the whole entire world. Luckily he's dead. But he went to UCSB.
That was the best segue we've ever had on the podcast. Just
Luckily.
You know who that person is? Well, he was a piece of shit, and he's fucking dead. I love it.
But
I love that guy.
I think we found our clip for this podcast.
So Elliot Rodger lived in Isla Vista, and he had an apartment there, and he was actually a half Chinese guy, which is actually fairly rare for like a mass shooter.
Okay, I remember.
You know what I'm talking about? And so he would do these like video blogs. He was an influencer. He thought he was an influencer.
Didn't he do it during the shooting?
He did it right before. So he was in his BMW with he's like, I am the most perfect gentleman that has ever lived. And he had a fake laugh. And it was like, and he's like, these designer sunglasses, this BMW, women who don't want me are fucking crazy, so I'm going to kill them all. Yeah. So he went around Isla Vista, and he basically targeted cute girls and chads or whatever, and he mowed them down off Pardal. You know, I used to work at Java Jones.
Right.
He shot up Java Jones. He shot up Silver Greens, all those places over there. We actually went right after he did it because I'm obsessed. Because I wanted to see, you know, like
Kevin's all, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did that.
Right after the Elliot Rodgers shooting, I wanted, because, you know, I used to work at a place that was shot up and like people died at, you know, and I just like part of me just wanted to seep in that. Like, what if I was there, you know?
Dude.
Like,
And how many years after was that? You moved to Portland.
I moved to Portland 15 years ago, and Elliot Rodger was maybe like 8 years ago. I feel like everything.
Yeah, you're only gone about 5-6 years, right?
Yeah, and so we came and visited specifically Isla Vista just to like look at the memorials and stuff. Like probably like within a half a year of it happening.
Was that your first time in Isla Vista, Kevin?
Pardon?
Was that your first time in Isla Vista?
That may have been.
Yeah, we went for breakfast burritos and a murder tour.
Freebirds. A murder.
Was it Freebirds?
No.
Real fluffy eggs.
No,
Fluffy
it doesn't.
eggs.
It's it was Rosarito and it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Closed down. But yeah, so anyways, I was teaching them about Elliot Rodgers, and I was teaching them about Brock Turner had just happened.
Right. Okay.
And we were talking about toxic masculinity, and we're like, hey, you know, I was trying to teach them like not all masculinity is bad. It's when it like harms people's lives. It's when men take it to a degree where they feel like they need to take out people because they're not getting what they want. Like, and I taught them about incels and all this stuff, and everyone's like,
they're just like, holy shit!
Whoa.
I'm sorry I asked. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But we were reading a fictional book about toxic masculinity, and it's not fictional. It's not a fictional concept, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I started to show them stories of toxic
More like
masculinity, that's when like these two girls were just like, oh my gosh, and like we just want to talk about it all the time. And then I introduced them to a couple of podcasts. At the time, it was My Favorite Murder, Sword and Scale, and I think maybe like True Crime Garage or something. Okay. And they were like obsessed. And we ended up in the last podcast on the left. And I actually ended up taking them as a graduation present. I ended up taking them to go see the last podcast on the left live. Their live show is all dick jokes. So it was very awkward sitting with two 18-year-old girls.
After you talk about this whole toxic masculinity.
Yeah. I was like, this is kind of toxic masculinity, but they're kind of funny.
So look, this is I'm showing you what it's like in the wild.
This is extra credit.
But they were both moving away to college. One went to San Francisco State University or San Francisco University, the religious one. And then one went to South Oregon University in Ashland, and we wanted to keep in touch. And so we were going to do a true crime podcast where I told all the crimes that happened in Portland that week. Elisa would do all the crimes in San Francisco, and then Lydia would do all the crimes in Ashland. And we just go through like, you know, the police Twitter and talk about things that have happened or things that are going on. And they were super excited. And I was like, I'm super excited too, but I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to go to college and you're going to get completely overwhelmed. And you're never going to find time to do the podcast. And I'm 100% okay with that. I don't want to like have any expectations.
We're going to be concentrating on jokes.
Just so you know, when you're starting to feel bad about bailing, don't feel bad.
Right.
Yeah. And so I said, I kind of put the kibosh on it, being like, all right, after like 6 weeks in college, like, let me know how you feel. And then they were like, oh my God, like, I can't do this, you know? So I had kind of been like, I had started putting together a logo. I had already come up with the phrase True Crime Dumpster because I thought it sounded funny. And I was like already like super invested. And then like my sister stepped in and was like, I'd do it with you. And I was like, you're pregnant and about to have a kid. I need a big loser
Nice.
with nothing but time.
Right.
Yeah, and I did say for better or for worse.
This is true.
So I was about
to myself.
I was about to do it by myself, and then I was like, "Hey."
Oh yeah, I have a husband that I can make do this.
Yeah, literally.
He doesn't like it quite as much as I do.
All the power.
But like, yeah, it's been fun though.
Toxic masculinity.
No, that's
he brings that to it.
Impressive, like
she's mastered toxic masculinity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what
her and all her dick
about
pics.
Your guys' podcast is because I listened to the Amish one today, the Amish Killer, you know, which was pretty. It's just, you know,
Amish stud.
Yeah.
Like, I don't naturally gravitate towards that shit because, you know, we talked right before we started, and my head's filled with dark shit all day anyway. I don't need any more. But
I
what
don't think
did
any. I
was
think
cool was-
everyone's is right now.
Yeah, but you know, I thought it was I mean, how much, dude? You guys have to do so much research. I don't think I'm cut out for that. You know, like, I mean,
So when we first
how much time
started,
do you guys spend a week like on planning these episodes?
he's got the next 5 years planned out already.
That's what I figured. I figured it was a thing where it's like you've like got all these ideas,
Right,
and it's like you're slowly kind of just doing it, and then when it's ready, you're like, guess what? We're doing this.
Yeah.
This week.
Sometimes I go down these rabbit holes, like we did like a Silk Road
I actually
three-parter,
listened to a couple of those, and that was pretty cool.
and
That was a crazy
I
story.
probably did like 30 hours of research for that.
Yeah.
I read the book twice, and I watched like 2 documentaries. And I mean, it's I listened to the audiobook and I also read the book, and the audiobook's 13 and a half hours long, and it probably took about 10 hours to read, you know, like, and I was taking notes the whole time I was reading.
Yeah.
That, and then like whenever I read books for episodes, it takes a really long time. But like the Amish Stud Murderer, a lot of it was based off of an episode of like Snapped or something,
Like
you
on
know,
Netflix
like
or some shit.
and we have to do those every once in a while, or else we wouldn't be able to put something out weekly, because we talked about doing every other week at first, but there's something not satisfying about that. I get
Every week,
like,
is this, you have to do, it's a consistency. It's got to be once
Yeah.
a week. You know what I mean? Whether
Yeah.
it's a fucking, I mean, for you guys, it's so labor intensive. Me and Schreimer are absolutely not organized enough to fucking do it. That's why we're over here. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess like I'm sitting like this because I literally am elevating my fucking.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, I'm just not interested in what
It
you
was,
have to say.
it was great timing though.
Like look at
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
this.
there you go.
Fucking elevating because that's what the doctor told me today.
Right. Yeah.
The doctor told me I need to elevate this.
But
shit.
I was impressed at the sheer amount of fucking actual research you guys do. Is like, oh my god, dude, I couldn't do it, you know. And then it has to be an absolute labor of love, you know what I mean, for you guys.
Yeah. I do like it a
I
lot,
respect-
and
I respect the production. To be
Absolutely,
quite honest
yeah.
with you, I'm a production guy. I fucking love a good production. I love lights. I love ambiance. I love all that shit.
Yeah.
I just don't have the time for it.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of more my part of it, is adding like the montages at the beginning.
Right. So I wanted to ask, are the intros you? Is that all you? Like,
Yeah. So I made the intro for that. You know, the actual intro for the podcast is the same thing.
Hell yeah, dude.
So I just found like someone doing a cover of Painkiller. And
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I didn't know if you
and
were
cut it up and
recording
then
it or-
added my own guitars to it, you know, and
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
the They Live samples and all this shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's impressive on its own, you know, because I'm like basically a caveman trying to operate a computer. You know what I mean? When I do
Me
this.
too. And yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm actually like, I'm just like this, you know.
And
I do my
because-
tips, but when it comes to recording and like you program drums and shit, right? Too, right? Or do you?
I just
he just
play 'em.
plays them.
Yeah,
you play them. So I mean, yeah, even that alone is like
that's way easier than programming them.
right. Yeah, I have friends that can do it, and I'm like, here, it's way
Like,
above
what's-
my scale.
What's been kind of like a
Math hard.
what's been kind of a saving grace of it all too is that like we downloaded Audacity and we just kind of figured it all out ourselves, and that's what's nice. Like we don't have to like make an appointment to like work on the podcast. We live with each other, you know.
Right.
So like he figured out Audacity, and then like he was like, oh, and then he started. Now he's like on this. He's just writing whole albums on Audacity.
Yeah,
now.
she created a monster.
Nice.
Now I never knew how to work a computer, and now I know how to do.
So
like,
it's kind of
record
been
home
like
recording, and
saving
that's
you.
all I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Is I
can
just
see that.
record
So
new
I wanted
music
to
and
ask
go
you,
surfing.
like with the COVID shit, like I've hit a huge slump in like creativity. I can't fucking write a riff to save my life right now, you know. But I also have 3 kids, and I mean he's fucking slammed with kids, and I can't
I don't
fucking
write
find
music.
any creative
I
juice
don't.
right now, dude. Like besides doing this, like how are you? I'm obviously writing music. Is that's how you're coping, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Have
I
you
can't
been,
even-
you've been
there's
able?
not
to
enough
fucking
time in the day.
create?
Like every time I have free time, I'm like recording shit.
That's
It's driving her fucking nuts.
Well, it's
It's like work on the podcast. I'm like,
I know.
"But I have this riff.
I know
dude."
he got really into like
Yeah.
working on.
You know, I'm working on the podcast,
Right.
babe. Don't worry.
yeah. I should say that.
Yeah.
No, this riff is totally for the podcast.
Yeah, I would say in the last 10 episodes, I don't think he's written much at all, just because, like,
I have a job now. I have to.
I know. Before, he didn't really have a job, and so he would just, like, have whole episodes written while I would be at work or whatever. And then, so now, like, all he wants to do is, like, work on recording stuff, which I'm totally fine with. But, like, it's cool because, like, he's got, I call him like his international boyfriends. And they're, like, literally all over the world. Like, some of his best friends are in Australia and in Vancouver, BC. And they send each other tracks, and they're, like, making records and stuff. So it's, like, that's what makes you happy. I'm good with that. As long as you can still talk murder.
Oh, I can talk murder.
I totally understand that because I have Craig and I have John C. local. And then all my friends are across the world, across the country.
Right.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, Rosie's constantly harassing me about my fucking cross-country boyfriends and the
Yeah.
definitely a white thing, dude. It's
Well,
like,
luckily, all of the international
Yeah, okay,
boyfriends, they like me, so.
I'm
Yeah.
always like, oh, it must be nice to go get food with your friends on like a Wednesday. Or something.
yeah.
I got to fly to Germany. for that shit, you
Yeah.
know?
You're like, what's Wednesday?
Yeah. So, what have you, obviously being locked down in the COVID and shit, have you guys been doing anything out of the absolute, when did you guys moved to Ventura pretty recently, right? Within the last year?
In August, was it?
Yeah, like, so like 9 or 10 months ago.
For all this shit in Ventura, is that you brought Portland's drama down here.
Like right after the fires or right before?
Yeah, that's wild.
Right
So you guys
after-
move down here, you get the fires, then you get COVID, and now we're doing riots.
I know.
Wow.
When's the locusts and the frogs?
They already
Yeah.
have Egypt, I think.
East
they came
Coast,
through.
East
No, dude, the locust is going crazy, dude. Actually, so I'm a big conspiracy theorist, like ancient
really?
history.
Here we go. Here we go.
I love all that shit. David Icke and fucking Alex Jones, fucking love those dudes.
Hey, no, you don't.
Are you well?
Should
So
we- I mean,
let's get this
we need
squared
to
up. Are you an absolute believer, or do you just like hearing?
He doesn't love Alex Jones.
I don't believe everything,
No,
but I mean,
a good conspiracy theorist shouldn't, right?
no, I mean, there's a good fair amount of disinfo, and I mean,
You're
the
not
CIA is
flat
behind
earth.
everything, right?
You're not flat Earth conspiracy though.
I'm not sold on the globe.
Oh no!
Don't listen to him. He's full of
That was
shit.
the best.
It's because my dad's a scientist.
Oh my god.
Are there satellites? Is space real?
Oh.
You mean the firmament?
No, no.
Yeah,
We're in
no,
the
I don't know.
I'm glad we didn't start here on the podcast.
No,
I like this
I love
to
a good
the end.
I love a good conspiracy, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love it all too. I'm not sure how much of it I believe, but I love the responses. It's amazing.
It's always good to
But-
fuck with people.
But yeah, you know, I don't know what's fucking actually real. You know, they could be all a
I mean,
big
at this
simulation.
point-
I mean,
At this point, you just, I think for a while you've always had to be like, okay, there's this information. I got to figure it out somewhere right
Right.
here. You know
Well,
what I mean?
the most likely outcome is that we are living in a simulation. You know what I mean? According to fucking every scientist on Earth. You know what I mean?
that's
Like
what they're all
there's
saying now.
so many.
Yeah.
There's a thing that said there are so many different universes and possibilities that there is a infinite number of universes where me and us are talking on a fucking podcast, having the exact same like conversation, and then infinite versions of that on top of it. You know what I mean?
Every sound that we make is its own
That's
universe.
Smoking weed.
Yeah. Hey, good call.
Yeah, it's why, dude. I mean, you know, when you
Have
really
you guys ever smoked DMT?
I have
Fuck
not.
yeah, I have.
haven't.
Fuck yeah. Dude,
I
okay,
did
so
it. I've done it only one time.
I was
but-
I was on a mini tour with Ghoul, and
Oh yeah, they're
Those
friends
are
of
our
ours.
friends.
this
But we can't say who.
yeah.
All of them,
So,
all the way from Creepsylvania.
So funny story about Ghoul. Okay, funny story about Ghoul. I think I can tell this story. I can tell this story. So
So funny. Wait, well,
Let
go
him
ahead.
tell.
one of the dudes from Ghoul is actually revamping our logo right now.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I do shows at the Oakland Metro in Oakland, right?
Love that place.
Oakland Metro in Oakland. Yeah. We've done
Great food.
yeah, the pizza? The pizza?
Yes,
Yeah, that's it. I don't know about that.
barf
But,
pizza.
So I did a show there. It was the last show I was there for, and it was, I can't remember what fucking, I'm not gonna say what metal band it was, but some metal band came through, and the tour manager was a complete fucking asshole, right? Just was a shithead from the beginning, a shithead in all the emails.
Like a bigger band?
It was a bigger band. Yeah, I'll tell you when we're not recording. But so fucking guy was a complete shithead, and I fucking was like the rep, and I had to deal with them, and I'm always like, hey, fucking, you're being an asshole. I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna come through and you're gonna leave, so I don't give a, you know what I mean?
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, bro, guess what? We're gonna load out at some fucking point, and you're gonna go the fuck home. So I don't give a fuck, right? And this guy was totally like one of those like tech metal tour managers that's kind of like, and I'm like, you didn't advance shit. You didn't advance fucking shit, right? So anyways, I was going in like, this guy's being an asshole. Fucking one of the guys who played in Ghoul was a sound guy at the Oakland Metro, and he goes like, hey John, is that blah blah blah, the guy's name, right? And he goes, that guy ripped off Ghoul for $1,000 fucking dollars. He owes Ghoul $1,000 fucking dollars. I'm like, oh, what name are you trying to get? He's like, oh, it's that guy's name. And like, if a tour manager's being nice, I'll fucking I'll help him. You know what I mean? But the guy's being a shithead, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the fucking guy. Go right over
yeah.
money, right? And this was basically like Ghoul took him out as a tour manager, fucking, and the dude ended up leaving a bandwagon at a rest area, and bandwagon had to go pick it up and fucking charge Ghoul. You know what I mean? The guy just left it at a rest area, didn't tell anyone, just fucking bailed. And fucking like the guy was like trying to be like, oh hey, well I'll get you the money. Never saw any of them. And then fucking dude from Ghoul walks up to him and goes like, hey, what's up? What's up? So like, what's up with this money? And he goes, oh shit.
You just see the back.
I hope he put the mask on before he fucking did that.
I drove the tour manager to the ATM to get the fucking money out, so Ghoul could get their fucking money.
Good on you.
It was a beautiful thing. I've taken a few promoters. I've taken a few promoters in my life to the ATM. I'm like, listen, I don't give a fuck what you're saying, motherfucker. Like,
never see you again until next year.
You're like the Mexican police.
That's the thing is like for me, like in the touring world, is it like I'd always deal with people and they'd be like, I'm never gonna see you again. I'm like, you're not that lucky. I'm gonna see you again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll through and be like, hey, you're a fucking asshole. You know?
I'll be right up your ass.
But anyways,
man.
that was my Ghoul story.
Yeah.
That's
legit.
I hope I finished it.
Yeah. Is so with the, obviously you're in Ventura now. Like, I heard you're surfing now. Is that new to you or what? I know you're
attempting. I'm doing a poor old man's attempt at surfing.
How are the locals treating you? Is there a localism vibe in the water or what?
You're not going down.
Well, I've been social distancing my whole life, so this whole thing's a breeze. So I kind of go where there's no one at.
Yeah,
basically. So I don't embarrass myself too bad.
Yeah,
but like I do, like I've been out like at the I guess they call it the Point.
Yeah.
Or C Street or whatever it is, and you know I was like just almost having a heart attack trying to paddle out to the waves, and these little fucking kids are just flying by me, fucking ripping it up, you know. Yeah. And I'm just like, fuck. Yeah. I used to skate a lot, like skateboard.
Oh, you grew up skating? Okay.
Yeah. I was like, I was a total skater. That's kind of like where I cut my teeth on, like, I guess counterculture or whatever it is.
Right.
This lady that my parents got divorced pretty early on, and my dad only had one real girlfriend. This chick, Cheryl. She was a hot blonde chick, and she would take me cruising in her car, and just blasting Motley Crue, like shout out the devil shit. And I was probably like 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. It's very strange when I look back at it, but at the time, she's like, "Oh, the speakers in my car are blown, so I have to turn it all the way up." And I was like, fuck yeah, cool. She like got me on my first skateboard, my first like guitar, like an acoustic shitty guitar.
That's cool.
But she was awesome. And that's kind of like, so she got me my first skateboard, and that was kind of like what like led me on this path. Like I was always like kind of like I never fit in with anyone. So skateboarding was like cool because I could just do it myself.
Skateboarding is such a killer I mean, that's what I grew up in the desert. Actually, I grew up in the same town as he did until I was about 12. I moved to Ventura, and I couldn't ride dirt bikes anymore. I couldn't do any of that shit. You know what I mean? So I started skating, dude, and that shit completely changed my life. I mean, first of all, I realize I'm not a big team sports guy. I like something that I can do on my own every day without a fucking coach and this and that. And I got really into skating, dude, and that like pushed me into punk rock and metal. I was always a metalhead. You know, I was a metalhead first, and I started appreciating punk later in my life. You know,
I was always a metalhead from like same thing. Like, so like she got me a skateboard and Motley Crue. So I was like walking around at like 7 or 8 with like, you know, the Chuck All-Star shoes, one red one black one, like bandanas, fucking like thought I was like some badass, you know. Yeah. And like Richard Ramirez was like running around killing people at the same time and fucking pentagram on the hand. Yeah. I was like pentagram on the Motley Crue. I was like, fuck, this shit is wicked, you know, like and I remember like when I got that fucking Motley Crue tape, it was Too Fast for Love. Cheesy ass fucking shit, right? But I opened it up and I saw the pentagram, and so before I listened to it, I put it away, and then I snuck out at like midnight to listen to it when I was just a little kid, because it was like the devil fucking evil. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Cared about you. That's nice.
I've always been a little devil worshiper as well. So like,
when I have an older brother, and he showed me Iron Maiden, A Seventh Son of a Seventh Son on cassette when I was like 6th grade, 5th grade. Yeah, and I was like, this is fucking tight. Yeah. Satan's pretty tight. Yeah, because I was raised Catholic, so I'm a recovering Catholic. Yeah, so you know, I was
like when I was growing up, like there was like a few skate parks, but mainly like we would just skate street, you know, do street skating. It was all illegal, you know. It was like getting like, and I lived in Chino, California for a bit too, so it was always like getting beat up by gangsters or like by the police. You know, like either way, you're gonna go out skating or getting beat up.
You're running from something.
But yeah, it was always like a very like punk rock thing to do, is to go fucking skate on like someone's curb or.
Oh, totally, dude. We used to go skate at the high school in Ventura, and at the end of the night, we would call the cops on ourselves and then run from them when they showed up. It was like it was such a Wild West shit like out here, dude. Like we would hide from them and run from them and get detained. I know Shimer was doing real crimes, you know.
And that's why we have to defund the police.
Yeah,
there's this awesome like drainage ditch behind my elementary school, and so like a group of us would always skate behind there, and then like it was on the side of a freeway, so like cops would see us and go, "What the fuck are all these kids doing on the side of the road?" You know? Like, and so we'd have to like run, jump in the trees and shit.
Oh, dude, yeah, I remember.
It was so fun.
It was awesome, dude. I mean, we used to like we'd skate around at Boyna, we'd call the cops on ourselves, or sometimes they'd sneak up on you. But my buddy, who was like a squatter, homeless kid, was skating, one of the best skaters, you know. But he had ripped off all his clothes and he was like skating naked through the school, you know? And so a cop rolls up on the lawn, like with his lights off in his car, and his bare ass just fucking hits the head. And he sneaks up the board. He's fucking running, you know, they're chasing us. It looks like a Benny Hill fucking show, you know? He's just going, we're all running from him. You know, we're hiding in bushes and shit, you know? It was awesome, dude. We got picked up later that week, and it was me, him, and my buddy Casey. And he actually fucking shit his pants in the back of a cop car. And the cop was it was Berger. Remember Ryan Braggett? Berger? I don't know if you remember him. But
vaguely. That sounds familiar.
Back in the HD days. But fucking this guy shits his pants in the back of the cop car. Dude, and the cop is so disgusted with us. He kicks us out of the car.
Yes.
Oh,
success.
You're a hero. You're a fucking hero, man.
Did you let him go?
Oh, yeah. He booted us out of the car. He was like, you guys, I mean, we're lucky we didn't get shot, you know? Like
that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, he was pissed, dude. He fucking booted us right out. We were all detained, all going to our houses, all going to be in trouble, you know? It was like 1 a.m. or whatever, you know? God, I miss skating sometimes, man. My boy's starting to do it now, and it's like I've never been more fucking proud, you know, to watch him like really trying to get it down, you know? It's awesome. Something cool.
That's rad. You're like, here's an M80. Check this out.
Yeah, That's in there too. Yeah.
Soon enough.
Yeah, it'll happen. Man.
Yeah, fucking that.
That's beautiful.
Fucking that.
And this is one of the reasons I brought him out. This is our COVID-19 dog.
Dude.
So he one thing that happened at the start of all of this is that a lot of people, like the shelters were closing down, and like they were trying to get as many people to adopt and foster as they could because they knew that they were going to have a limited staff.
Yeah.
And so people just like would hear that like the shelters were shut down. Like they weren't totally shut down, but they were trying not to accept new people. It was like in this vague area. And so people are just throwing their dogs out on the street, and there's this huge like influx of like dogs just showing up all over the place.
Yeah.
And so this one.
So is that your? So did you foster that dog, but you're not giving the dog back?
So a lady on Facebook was like, I found this messed up dog with like a broken toe, and like he's all, if you can't tell, he's all pockmarked in the face. He's kind of like got a Danny Trejo like complexion.
What's his name? Danny?
Yeah, it's Machete.
And his ears were all like fly eaten, and like he's just really fucked up, and he's missing like a bunch of teeth in the front.
I remember you mentioned on the last one that he has like some straight PTSD like shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude,
He'll be sleeping and he just like wakes up and just starts freaking out. There's been a couple dog fights on the podcast that we haven't cut because they were kind of funny, but yeah, so some lady was like, this awesome crazy lady in South Oxnard was like, I found this dog and I'm so in love with him, but I can't keep him. And so she had actually gotten because wherever she was staying, she couldn't have a dog, so she actually rented a hotel room for him, like, and her to stay in, and like she's on her last dollar, and she's like, I am willing to like throw away my whole life for this dog. Somebody please come and save me.
The dog's super cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I met her and I said, I'll take care of the dog for you until if you want him back. And she did kind of want him back. And then I've actually met with her a bunch more times, and she's kind of revealed that she's like a recovering heroin addict and all this stuff.
You're like, yo, guess what, girl? You ain't getting this dog back.
I was like, this is my dog. I actually tried to give him away. I tried to give him away, and he ran away like across the highway to get back to me.
You were like this on the other side of the highway, like, come to me.
Yeah. So Kevin, what you're saying?
That reminds me of the end of one of those Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes.
Like, it's like I'm trying to get fucking rid of you. Oh, what is this? What is this?
Yeah.
So
well, he looks like the acid's just wearing off, so it's fucking cool.
Dude, he looks pretty stoked on mine.
Yeah, I was crying one night because
he's still a total asshole.
Oh yeah, he's horrible. He's a horrible dog.
I mean, all I gotta say is he's been amazing on screen.
Right.
So
yeah, he's a great podcast dog. Yeah.
Great dog. Look at that guy.
But I was just crying one night, and Kevin was like, "Why are you trying to give away that dog? If that's like in this shitty world, if that little annoying weirdo like gives you any kind of joy, you should just keep him."
You'll learn, and dogs teach you about yourself.
Right.
Yeah, but he's our fourth.
They taught
dog,
me that
though.
I'm a fucking huge asshole with no patience.
Yeah. Oh, dude, and then trying to have some fucking kids, dude. The dog goes so far down the totem pole. It is shocking. You know.
My parents like adopt dogs all the time. They're like, so we're just like fostering this dog, and I'm like, you guys are fucking keeping it. Yeah. My parents have never fostered a dog and gave him away.
Yeah.
You know,
it's hard to get attached.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
It's just it's your dog.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I found a dog running down the street on Gonzales 13 fucking years ago, and this thing is still alive, blind and deaf, under my feet, gets stepped on 16 times a day. I love her to death. I mean, but holy fucking shit, they stick around. You know what I mean? So prepare for the long haul. You're gonna have that dog for all the way through the divorce and then the remarriage. It's fucking brutal, dude. Like my dog Chewy, we found her when my daughter was 6 months old, and I literally, she's blind and she's deaf. We were living in Montalvo. She's blind. She's fucking deaf now. She can't see shit. She runs into walls. She's under your feet every time you turn around. And I mean, she's so fucking sweet. She's like a Lhasa Apso. But I was like, 13 years, dude? You're like 90 fucking years old. Like, and she seems totally fine, like, with all that. You know what I mean? So, but it's good. I mean, you got to take care of those ones,
Yeah.
Look at that.
Got
guy.
that Rothschild's blood.
Yeah.
That royal, that 13 royal families, brother.
He's drinking that adrenochrome.
Yeah. Over at the Bohemian Grove, fucking doing it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, man, I think it's a good spot to end it. You guys feel good about everything?
Oh,
Yeah,
You
man.
guys want to push anything? You guys want to fucking?
I'd like to push more flat Earth.
Fuck. The Earth is flat.
But how can it be flat and hollow at the same time?
It's like a weird, like, fuck. It's
Oh,
like a
it's a
diaphragm. You know
weird-
the diaphragm, the
Listen. You doing this is not scientific enough for me. Okay.
This
is
no.
not fucking like no. Nope.
If you really want to know, I can
Nope.
show you how to calculate the curvature of the Earth because I do it all fucking day at work, buddy, with GPS. Yeah.
Like tricky dick fingers.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, so where can we find you guys, the podcast and all that stuff?
We're on all the podcast platforms. Just look for True Crime Dumpster. Nobody else wanted that name. No one's named their child that yet. So if you put in True Crime Dumpster, you're pretty much just going to find us.
Nice.
Okay.
That's awesome.
When is your
Good plug.
how often do you guys put out episodes?
Once a week on Tuesdays. But we're, Tuesday,
Tuesday,
Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday.
Hey,
But once a week.
Hey, you know, fucking.
Yeah, it's a as
I
long as
have
you get
a-
one out a week, man.
I
you're
have
all
a
right.
Gorilla Biscuits monkey back here and a Guy Fawkes fucking Devo hat. So we're all over the place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, we fucking get
I
it.
fucking roll the dice on this one.
We
every
roll
week.
the fucking
Yeah.
dice.
Well, dude, it has been a
guys.
pleasure talking to you guys. And, obviously, if you need some crime experts on your podcast, let us know. We'd be willing
Yeah.
to jump in.
I would love
Listen, whenever there's a cold case, you call me.
That's right.
There's some good Ventura crimes that I would love to cover and have you guys on. I could do all the research and you could just chime in.
Very possible.
We're always down. Hey, bring us on.
Or
We'll fucking-
maybe we
I'll
can
solve-
team up and
I will
get some.
solve a case in one podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. Yeah, I guarantee if it's a crime in Ventura, I might have some insider information. on it.
Yeah.
It might be a family member.
Yeah,
If there's ever like biker tweaker
Yeah.
things in the Antelope Valley,
I
call
might
me.
know it.
I will.
I might know it. Same thing for biker tweaker shit in Ventura.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know it. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Anyway, well, it's been a pleasure,
And
guys.
then also go support Kevin's bands in 2
yes.
years when they can play again.
Anything. Give us something. Give us something.
oh, you can wear goat. Everything at Bandcamp. So wear goat Bandcamp, Ritual Necromancy Bandcamp,
So, how do
Blasphemy.
you spell
anything.
where goat?
It's like a mixture of werewolf and
Goat.
goat.
So WERE goat.
It's a mixture of. So it's a mixture of werewolf and goat.
Yeah.
You guys are a great couple.
yeah,
You guys are fucking.
You guys do
that's
compliment
the idea.
very well.
You guys are, yeah, exactly.
It's
We
actually
take
it shows through on the podcast.
We're fucking serious, man.
You know what you should start is a fucking grindcore band called Flat Earth.
I'm
Dude,
fucking
hey,
sold.
write the music, and me and Craig will write the lyrics.
Yeah, fully, dude.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Podcast
I'm in.
collab.
Hell yeah.
We'll only release it on our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
And we'll be the only ones that listen to it.
Dozens and dozens of people will be into it.
Yeah.
Dozens.
Literally,
Tens of tens.
maybe
Think of-
2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Think of the royalties.
That's, yeah, man.
So
All
many
right,
units.
Good times.
Cheers.
Craig's beard will be gone for the next podcast too.
Yeah.
Oh, are you gonna grow it back?
Yeah, I can't. It's like
yes,
looking
he
at.
is. Yes, he
Yeah,
is.
I will. I
Yes, he
regretted it
is.
immediately. I 20 years, and I haven't seen my face, and I just wanted to see it before. I got tired of people being shocked that I'm 38. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because my beard's 20
Wait,
fucking years old.
What? You're not
you know?
58?
And so I wanted to see my face, and now every time I look in the mirror, I feel like I'm on mushrooms, and I can't fucking do it. You know what I mean? It's killing me. So something's coming back.
I've been dying to get some mushrooms, so maybe I should just shave.
Holler at
No.
your boy after
at your-
podcast. We'll talk to you later.
All right, hi there, guys. Bye.